This
Yes.
conference will now be recorded.
So the question is, as the recording is just started, I think I will repeat the question. The question is, if you go for a Rukshapurva Swedanam in a condition where there is Amashegata Vayu, and in that situation, if there is no Kabha Kopa, Kabha is Sama, but Sthananurodhataha, the decision goes as to start the treatment with the Ruksha Svedam. So, how about the risk of the Kabha being further lowered by the Ruksha Svedam, giving more opportunity for the Agandu dosha, that is Vayu, to uh, make the situation worse by gaining strength because of the Ruksha Kriya. Isn't it? I hope I got the question right.
Yes, sir. This is the question I asked.
Yes, yes, yes. So that is a valid question and it is true also. Then, what we have to understand is primarily this uh, advice given in that Amase Gade Vayau Kabhe Pakva Shaya Srude Rukshapurvam Tatha Snehapurvam Sthananurodhataha. This advice primarily indicates or reflects a condition where there is Kabha Kobam as well. But that need not be the case because here the thrust goes to the sthanam. That is why the hetu for this application is given as sthananurodhataha. Sthananurodhataha. That is the hetu. So that does not show that always or invariably the kabha is vruddha. As Dr. Ashwin asked, it may be sama also. So there is a point of discussion or content in it, definitely. So what we should understand is this need not be taken for granted above the physicians or the Vaidya's advice. This advice originally comes from the context which is explained in Doshobakramaniya. What is that? तत्र अन्यस्थानसंस्थेषु तदीयाम् अबलेषु तु कुर्यात् चिकित्साम् स्वामेव बलेन अन्याभिभाविषु आगन्तुं शमयेद्दोषं स्थानिनं प्रतिकृत्य वा. This is the original context from which this application, what we see in Sweda Kriya, is adopted. So, what does it mean? Tatra अन्यस्थानसंस्थेषु अबलेषु तु तदीयां चिकित्सां कुर्यात्. अन्यस्थानसंस्थेषु अबलेषु तदीयां चिकित्सां कुर्यात्. So, अन्यस्थान samstha coming to the context of Sweta Kriya in the point which we were discussing, Amase Gade Vayau. So, Anyasthana Samstha Dosham is Vayu. That has come to the Kabhasthana. So, Anyasthana Samstha Dosham is Vayu. Then, Tadiyam Chigitsam Kuryad. Tadiyam Chigitsam Kuryad means the sthani chikitsa. You may go for the sthani chikitsa. When abaleshu, the anyasthana samstha dosha is abala, then only this can be done. Which one? The tadiyam chikitsam kuryad. So we find in the context that ruksha purvam. So that is the tadiya chikitsa, the sthani dosha chikitsa. So when such an advice comes, that indirectly tells us that the kabha is stronger than vayu, or vayu is in an abala, comparatively abala stage than kabha. That is why this suggestion is becoming a standing instruction. So if the situation was otherwise, then swameva balenanyabhibhavishu, that will be the standing instruction. That means tatra anyasthana samstheshu balena anyabhibhavishu dosheshu, or that condition, swameva chikitsam kuryad, swameva chikitsam kuryad, that will be the advice. So when the anyasthana samstha dosha, that is vayu, which is stronger in terms of strength, it is more powerful than the sthani dosha, that is kabha, then this ruksha purva sweda advice will not be valid. So even if we find that there is a direct advice to go for ruksha purva swedam, that indirectly tells us with the reference of this dosha upakramaniya slogam that in the given context vayu is not the stronger principle, but it is the sthani dosha, that is kabha. And in the clinical decision making, the ultimate decision is of the Vaidya. Tandri guryam natu kramam. The Vaidya should not go for na shastram astityedavad kriyanam karyago bhaved. Don't go for doing anything blindly with the excuse that it is told in the shastra. Shastram asti ityedavad kriyanam karyakaha na bhaved. That is advice. So even if it is told that in a amashegada vayu condition, ruksha purva swedam is advised in the text, don't go for it when the agantu dosha, that is vayu, is stronger than the sthani dosha, that is kabha. Because in such context the basic advice is different, and that basic advice goes like swameva balena anyabhibhavishu, swameva balena anyabhibhavishu. So then in that context vayu becomes anyabhibhava dosha. Then you have to focus on the vayu, and this instruction that ruksha purvam swedam ajared becomes void. I hope the idea is clear, and Vaidya Ashwin got uh, the point in it.
Yes, sir. It is very much clear now.
Okay. So now we will start our regular session. Okay, Nilesh, shall we start with our regular session? Yes, I hope. Okay. So we will start with our regular pattern. Chaturmukha samarambham Vagbhadacharya madhyamam Asmadacharya paryandam Vande Guru Paramparam. Ragadirogan satatanushaktan Asheshakaya prasrutan asheshan Aulsukya moharadidan jaghana yo purva Vaidyaya namostu tasmai. In our previous session, the point what we were discussing or discussed right now, plus a small ardha shloka, that means alpam vanksanayoho swalpam dring mushkahridaye nava. That is what we concluded in our last session, and we saw a detailed explanation or advice in this regard from the other text Ashtanga Sangraham, that is Patmolpaladibhi Saktu Pindya Va Achadya Chakshushi Shidair Muktavali Patma Kumudolpala Bhajanaihi Muhu Karaischa Toyardraihi Svidyado Hridayam Sprished. That is advice what we saw from Ashtanga Sangraha. Now we find, and in the last session, I think there was a question what could be the specificity of these in the selection of these different types of Sweda Kriyas. We can find this question answered from a clinical point of view in Ashtanga Sangraham again. What is that? Tesham Visheshatah Taposhmasvedau Kabhe Prayojayed. Tesham Visheshatah Taposhmasvedau Kabhe Prayojayed. So we find in Kabha you may go for Tapasvedam or Ushmasvedam. But here Kabha need not be Kevala Kabha, but Kabha Anubaddha Vayu also you can consider. It need not be Kevala Kabha. Because we practically we know that we go for some of these Veda in not Kevala Kabha, but Kabha Anubandha Vayu or Vadanubandha Shleshma. In such conditions, we opt to go for Sweda, and then these two are the best options. Ushma, Tapa and Ushma Svedo. Then Upanaham Anile. Upanaham Anile. Upanaham Anile. Then Kinjid Pitta Samsrishte Anyatarasmin. Kinjid Pitta Samsrishte. Kinjid Pitta Samsrishte Anyatarasmin Dravam Idi. Kinjid Pitta Samsrishte Anyatarasmin Dravam Idi. Kinjid Pitta Samsrishte. Actually, in Pitta predominant conditions, Swedanam is not a treatment of choice. It is very clear. I need not go for the explanations. But there may be conditions where Vayu or Kabha is the Pradhana dosha, but there is Kinjid Pitta Samsrishtam, Kinjid Pitta Samsargam. So, with the slight involvement of Pitta, and the Pradhana dosha is either Vayu or Kabha, and the condition, the Vyadhya Avastha is Swedarha. So you opt for Swedana, but that Kinjid Pittanubandham cannot be overlooked. That is to be definitely considered in the selection of the Sweda Kriya. So, Kinjid Pitta Samsrishte Anyatarasmin. Anyatarasmin means either Vayu or Kabha. किंचिद पित्त संसृष्टे वायौ किंचिद पित्त संसृष्टे कभे. What should be the option? Dravam iti. Dravasvedam. Then Dravasvedam is the option. So in total, Tesham Visheshatah Taposhmasvedau Kabhe Prayojayed. Upanaham Anile. Anile in Vadavyadhi, Upanaham is considered as the best option here in Ashtanga Sangraham. Vagbhada documents writes in Upanaham Anile Kinchid Pitta Samsrishte Anyatarasmin Dravam iti. When Kinchid Pitta Samsrishta Vade Kinchid Pitta Samsrishta Kabhe Dravam. Dravasveda Avagaham or Sekam. So this is the general advice as far as the specific selection of Sveda Kriyas are concerned. Now we will find how the Sveda is understood in terms of its Samyak Lakshana. There are many practical methods of doing Svedana Kriya these days. And Svedana Kriya is one of the most widely practiced Kriya these days. That has become even the brand ambassador of Ayurveda globally. Different types of Sveda Kriya, Patrapodali Svedam, Shashtiga Pinda Svedam, Kaya Segam, then steam bath or that plain Bashpa Svedam, then Dhanyamla Dhara, Kashaya Dhara, then this Kshira Bashpa Dhumam. Many types of Sveda Kriya. Actually, the Sveda Kriya is primarily explained in the context of Shodhana Chikitsa as one of its most important Purva Karma, which we will come to that. It is very important that doing a proper Svedana Karma prior to Shodhana Chikitsa is very important. But as in the case of Snehana, we found that Snehana is primarily explained for the sake of doing Shodhana Chikitsa. So it is a Purva Karma. But we saw that there are other types of Snehana as well, like Brahmana Snehanam and Shamana Snehanam. In the same way, Svedanam, which is primarily a Purva Karma of Shodhana Chikitsa, it has got other applications as well, like Shamana Chikitsa or even Brahmana Chikitsa. These two can also be achieved by Svedana Kriya. So, understanding the Svedana Kriya in its various clinical contexts in terms of a broad spectrum of applications that a clinician should be very familiar with. Sorry for that. I had a call in between. Sorry, just 1 minute. Okay. So we find, see, this Svedana Kriya, as I mentioned, is a big event in all the Ayurvedic centers, the spas, resorts, everywhere. This Svedana Kriya has become literally a hotbread. Most of the tourist locations you will find Ayurvedic treatment massage parlors and treatment centers, where basically this Sveda Kriya is the bread and butter. So I think you should have a thorough idea, otherwise this will be misused and you will be forced to misprescribe this treatment. And also there are many possibilities of developing complications if the procedure is not done properly. So the samyak lakshana of Svedana is also very important. So we find it. What is that? The shloka goes like this. Shitashulakshaye, Shitashulakshaye, Swinnaha, Swinno, Jadenganam cha mardave syad, Shanair mrudidaha, Snataha, Tadasve, Sneha vidhim bhajed. That is the advice what we find. We will see the word by word what is explained. Shitashulakshaye, Shitashulakshaye, Swinnaha, Jade Anganam cha Mardave, Jade Anganam cha Mardave. So, multiple features are explained. What is that? Shita Shulakshaye, Shita Kshaye, Shulakshaye. So, two things. There should be Shitakshayam and Shulakshayam. Shitakshayam and Shulakshayam. Kshayam means some sort of a relief. Here the Kshayam means relief from what? Shitam. So the patient subjectively should feel a relief from the shaityam what he or she was feeling. And also there should be Shulakshayam. Shulakshayam is also very important. Then Swinnaha. Swinnaha means somebody who has achieved Swedanam is called Swinnaha. Jade Anganam cha Mardave. Anganam Mardave Jade cha. Anganam Mardave Jade cha. So that is also one criteria, one feature for understanding whether the Svedam is done properly or not. Anganam Mardave Jate cha. So Angam here is Avayavam. Anganam, that is why we use in Bahuvachanam. Anganam Mardave, Mardavam Mridutvam. Mardavam Mridutvam. So Anganam Mridutvam is also a feature, is also a criterion which shows that the individual has become properly Swinnaha, Sweditaha. So three things: Shidakshaye, Shulakshaye, Anganam Mardave Jadecha, Swinnaha Syad. Then he has become Swinnaha Syad. Then what should be the follow up after reaching that stage? Shanaihi Mrudidaha, Shanaihi Mrudidaha, Snataha, Tataha, Sneha Vidhim Bhajed. That is the Paschat Karmam of Swedanam. Shanaihi Mrudidaha, 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 Mardidangaha. So, doing some sort of a samvahanam or samvahanam on the entire body. So, once that Shita Shulakshayam and Anganam Mardavam is achieved, then Shanaihi, slowly, Shanaihi Mrudidaha, Mardidangaha, to relieve that temperature, Ushma, which has relieved. In the context of Vyayamam, we find this. Vyayamam is also a type of Swedanam. We will come to that later Vyayamam is also a type of Svedana. Tam kritvanu sukham deham mardayetcha samandadaha. That we will find in Vyayamam. Abhyangam and Vyayamam tam kritva anusukham deham mardayetcha samandadaha. So here also we find that mardayed shanaihi mrudidaha, taking rest for some time with gentle massage, samvahanam all over the body. Tataha snataha. After that, what should you do? Tataha snataha. Snanam. Snanam. Go for snanam. Complete it. Then tataha sneha vidhim bhajed. Tataha tadanandaram sneha vidhim bhajed. Follow the instructions given in sneha. Snehana. That means Ushnodagopachari syad brahmachari kshapashayaha. We have seen it in detail. So follow that instructions given in Snehavidhi. So when do you become Swinna? That is explained. Sita Shulakshaye Swinnaha Jadenganam Chamardave Syad. Shanaihi mrudidaha. After that, Shanaihi mrudidaha snataha tataha sneha vidhim bhajed. Tataha sneha vidhim bhajed. That is the advice given as far as the samyag lakshana of snehana and its follow-up measures are concerned. So that is also very important. But unfortunately or fortunately, you cannot get these things just by reading the text repeatedly. Abhyasad prapyade drishtihi karmasiddhi prakashini. Karmasiddhi prakashini drishtihi abhyasad prapyade. You can't get this by repeated reading of the textbook. You have to go and literally do the Swedanam with somebody, or you yourself. That is the best option. You yourself get subjected to the Swedana Kriya and understand this Shita Shulakshaye Anganam Mardave Jadecha Swinnaha Syad. So that we have to feel. Then only that can be understood properly, not by repeated reading of the textbook. Ratnadi sadasatnanam na shastradeva jayate. Very, very important. So we decided to do the Swedanam and we did it. And now we know that this is the ideal condition to what extent the Swedana is to be done. But sometimes you should be exceeding this limit. You can be. So you should know what will be the features to understand a level of Svedana which has exceeded the optimum, the Samyag. So that is explained immediately, because that is a Samanya Jijnasa. When that Samyag Avastha is explained, any studious fellow will look for how will we understand if it has exceeded that optimal level. Please tell us what will be the features. So we find the next sloka. What is that? Pittasrakovatrinmurcha Swaranga Sadana Brahmaha Sandhipida Jwaraha Shyava Mandala Darshanam Swedadi Yogad Chardischa. So many things. We will see one after the other. Pittasrakopa. Pitta Asra Asram Rekta. Pittasrakopa Trin Trishna Murcha Murcha Swaranga Sadana Brahmaha Swaranga Sadana Swara Sadanam Anga Sadanam Swaranga Sadana Brahmaha Brahmam Brahmam. So pittasrakopam, trin murcha moha. Then Swaranga Sadanam, Swara Sadanam or Swara Sadam, Anga Sadanam, Anga Sadam, feeling severe tiredness of the Swaram and Angam, Avayavam or Shariram. Brahmaha, Brahmam. Then Sandhipida, pain. Pida is Ruk, where in Sandhis suffer from pain. Jvaraha, because of the pitta vruddhi, there will be sandabaha, jvaraha. Shyavaraktamandala darshanam, Shyavaraktamandala darshanam. Shyavavarnata, Raktavarnata in the form of mandalas. Mandalam, that circular patches with the Shyavavarnam or Raktavarnam. Raktavarnam is Raktavarnam. Shyavavarnam is some bluish red color or dark bluish color with a red hue, that is Shyava. So Shyava Mandala Darshanam or Rakta Mandala Darshanam. Swedadi Yogad Chardischa. Chardihi cha. Chardihi cha. So there can be Chardi as well. Chardischa. Swedadi Yogad. Svedasya Adiyogad. These things can happen. Pittasrakopa trinmurcha swaranga madana brahmaha sandhipida jvaraha syavaraktamandala darshanam svedadiyogad chardischa. Then what should be done? Tatra stambhanam aushadham. Tatra स्वेदादियोग संदर्भे स्तंभनम औषधम भवति. स्तंभनम औषधम is the remedial measure. What is that? Stambhanam. You have to go for stambhana chikitsa. So another chikitsa is coming there. Stambhana chikitsa. What is its context? Swedadi yogam. So is it exclusively or confined to the context of Swedadi Yogam? That is the jitnasa. Oh, now there is another chikitsa called Stambhana chikitsa. Where it is to be done? In Swedadi Yogam. Oh, so that is a treatment which is to be done exclusively in the context of Swedadi Yogam. Is it so? No. There are some other situations where this stambhanam can be properly utilized. Which are they? Vishakshāragni adīsāra chardi mohadureshu cha. In Vishakshāragni adīsāra chardi mohadureshu cha stambhanam aushadham. In these contexts as well, stambhanam is an aushadham. Which are they? Visham. In Visham, stambhanam is an aushadham. Kshara agni karmas. In Kshara agni karmas, stambhanam is used as a chikitsa. Kshara daham or agni daham. Then adisaram, in certain contexts of or certain avasthas of adisaram, stambhanam aushadham. In certain conditions of chardi, stambhanam aushadham. Moham, in moham, we found moham here. So here also it comes moham. In moham, stambhanam is chikitsa. So we find that adi swedaja lakshanas and vikaras, the remedial act of stambhanam there, and the extended usage of stambhanam in other clinical situations as well. Then what next? So here there is an interesting point. Actually, this is my personal experience. See, one of the senior Vaidyas, who is actually a college teacher, he was suffering from severe uh, Janusandhi Pida, severe Janusandhi Pida to the extent of uh, causing certain handicap, deformity and handicap. And he was doing various types of chikitsa, Ayurveda chikitsa, so obviously. So definitely the choice goes to different types of Svedanas. Different types of Svedanas like Kayasekam, Januvasti, or this Shastika Pinda Svedam. All these things were tried and the condition was not improving. Then he consulted an orthopedician or somebody like that, a sports medicine specialist or something like that. And he, after proper examination, advised this person, this doctor, this Vaidya, to go for a physiotherapy. And their suggestion was to try some sort of a very cold type of treatment like ice pack. And that gave some good amount of relief in the pain symptoms of this Vaidya. So later he was explaining this to me and he told, I felt very bad to see that this sort of a treatment for joint pains, Janusandhi Shulam, is an example, is not explained in the classics, Ayurveda classics, that relieving the pain with a Shida Kriya is not seen explained. I searched most of the context and I couldn't make out any reference for treating a this sort of a painful condition with the Shidopachara. So I was not answering to that question. But actually, when you look at this reference with a capacity to read between the lines or beyond the lines, you will get some interesting ideas. Here we find Stambhanam is given as a chikitsa. Tatra Stambhanam Aushadham. Where is Stambhanam advised? Stambhanam is advised in Swedadi Yoga. Swedadi Yoga. And what does this Swedadi Yogam do? That creates Pittasra Kopam. And this Pittasra Kopam can cause various symptoms. Pittasra Kopam is a general term, and Pittasra Kopam can cause various conditions, various vyadhis, of which some are given as examples, which we find here as Trinmurcha, Swaranga Sadana Brahmaha, Sandipida, Jwaraha, Syavaraktamandala Darshanam, and Chardi. In all these conditions, Stambhanam is Aushadham. So suppose, forget about the Svedadi Yogam. Suppose there is a clinical situation where Pittasrakobam is causing Trishna, Pittasrakobam is causing Murcha, Pittasrakobam is causing Sandhipida. So, in a clinical situation where there is Sandhipida as the presentation, and by thorough evaluation of the situation, you understand that the cause behind it is Pittasrakobam, then obviously even if sandhipida, pain symptoms of the joints, they are the presentation, still Swedanam can never be the choice of chikitsa, but you have to go for stambhanam. And this stambhanam, which we will find later, is done or executed fundamentally by Shita Kriya. Fundamentally by Shita Kriya. So, a condition where Sandhipida, whether it is Janu Sandhipida or some other Sandhipida, is the Lakshana, there can be clinical situations where you will have to resort for Shita Kriya for achieving Stambhanam. So, whether there is a reference for treating Janu Sandhishula with Shita Kriya or not, a direct reference, definitely you can get that proactive and practical tips for doing Shita Kriya in some conditions, in many conditions of Sandhipida. So, that is how we have to expand these lines into practical domains, expand the theory to real life practical domains. So I thought of explaining this experience which I had. I did not, this was there in my mind. Stambhanam is a chikitsa for sandhipida, but I never intended to hurt his understanding or his conviction. But I have made my mind that slowly I will tell him that this is not the condition. You can make improvisations from what is told in a different clinical situations. So this is very important. So again, while we listen to this, the possibility of doing stambhanam need not be confined to the symptom of sandhipida alone, but in most of the other situations which are explained, even if they are not the outcomes of swedana chikitsa, like this trishna murcha swarab anga sadanam bhramam then jwaram shyavarakta mandala darshanam chardi etc are caused by pittasra kobham. Definitely you can go for stambhana chikitsa with a foolproof expectation of positive outcome, right? Then we will move forward. Now we find these two modalities of treatments, that means Swedanam and Stambhanam, explained in terms of that Guna Vishesham or Dravya Vishesham or Rasa Vishesham or whatever it is. We will find what is explained. Swedanam Guru Tikshnoshnam Prayaha. Swedanam Guru Tikshnoshnam Prayaha Stambhanam Anyatha. Prayaha, Prayaha, in most of the situations or in general, Guru Tikshnoshnam Dravyam or Aushadham Swedanam Bhavati. Guru Tikshnoshnam Swedanam. Anyatha Stambhanam. Anyatha. Otherwise means the opposites of these three. Here we find Guru, Tikshnam and Ushnam. So, respectively, Laghu, Mandam and Sheetam, or Laghu, Mrudu and Sheetam. Mandam may be the better. So, Laghu, Mandam, Sheetam, Prayaha, Stambhanam. The usage of Prayaha is given to avoid the possibility of certain kriyas or dravyas which may be violating this rule. So they need not be included in this list, but in general, Guru Tikshnoshnam Swedanam Anyadha Stambhanam, that is the rule. The next two lines, they seem to be a bit contradictory or conflicting, and commentators like Hemadri have not accepted those two lines. They do not comment on those two lines. But for the sake of finding the details of what is told, we will go through it. What is that? द्रवस्थिर सरस्निग्ध रूक्षसूक्ष्मं च भेषजं स्वेदनम् द्रवस्थिर सरस्निग्ध रूक्षसूक्ष्मं च भेषजं स्वेदनम् स्तम्भनं श्लक्ष्णं रूक्षसूक्ष्मसरद्रवम् स्तम्भनं श्लक्ष्णं रूक्षसूक्ष्मसरद्रवम्. Why is this statement conflicting or apparently contradictory? Because we find the same gunas coming under Swedanam and Stambhanam alike. So there is a direct and simple question, why the same gunas, or how the same gunas can cause Swedanam and Stambhanam alike. That is the question. Maybe that could be the reason why authors or commentators like Hemadri avoided these two lines. As like something like Prakshiptam, somebody put these two lines in between later or something like that. But I think we need not bother about, or we need not get confused. Here we find Dravam, Sthiram, Saram, Snigdham, Ruksham and Sukshmam. That type of a Bheshajam is Swedanam. And the medicine or the Bheshajam which can be Slakshnam, Ruksham, Sukshmam, Saram and Dravam can be Stambhanam. So how can be same gunas, similar gunas come under the opposite categories of actions? That is the question. Then one more line is there. What is that? Prayaha tiktam kashayam cha madhuram cha samasataha. Prayaha tiktam kashayam madhuram cha samasataha stambhanam. So that prayaha samasadaha. So prayaha, first prayaha connects with the previous line. Then tiktam kashayam madhuram cha samasataha stambhanam. So three rasas, tikta rasam, kashaya rasam and madhura rasam are stambhanam, whereas the other three may be joining with the other league. That means swedanam. Fine. So again, coming to the middle two lines, how it should be understood. You see in those two lines, especially say if you look at the gunas which are explained in the Svedana category, what do you find? Dravam, Sthiram, Saram, Snigdham, Ruksham and Sukshmam. Where is Ushnam in it? Ushnam is not given. Similarly, in the Stambhanam it is Slakshnam, Ruksham, Sukshmam, Saram and Dravam. There is no Sitam. So from the first line you should understand that Guru Tikshnoshnam Prayaha Swedanam Laghu Manda Sheetam Prayaha Stambhanam. There need not be any conflict. Guru Tikshnoshnam Prayaha Swedanam Laghu Manda Sheetam Prayaha Stambhanam. Then the n number of permutations and combinations that can happen with these two primary classifications, they are possible to make different types of Svedana and different types of Stambhana. For example, when Guru Tikshnoshnam combines with Drava, that forms one type of Svedanam. When Guru Tikshnoshnam combines with Sthira, that is another type of Svedanam. Guru Tikshnoshnam with Saram, one Svedanam. Guru Tikshnoshnam with Snigdham, another type of Svedanam. Guru Tikshnoshnam with Ruksham, another type of Svedanam. You see in the same line Snigdha and Ruksha comes. Need not be between Svedanam and Stambhanam. In the Svedanam itself you find Snigdham and Ruksham. So the fundamental gunas that a Svedana require could be Guru, Tikshnam and Rushnam. Then combining with these three, you can take each one of the Dravadi gunas to get various types of Svedana Kriyas. In the same manner, Laghu, Mandam and Shidam may be combined with each one of the Shlakshna, Ruksha, Sukshma, Sara and Drava so as to get various types of Stambhanam. So that is the way in which these two lines are to be understood. So in total 4 lines where we find various possibilities of developing Svedana Aushadhas and Stambhana Aushadhas. We will read it once again. Swedanam Guru Tikshnoshnam Prayaha Stambhanam Anyadha Dravasthira Sarasnigdha Ruksha Sukshmam Cha Bheshajam Swedanam Stambhanam Shlakshnam Ruksha Sukshma Saradravam Prayaha Tiktam Kashayam cha Madhuram cha Samasataha. So that is how we have to understand these two shlokas. Our time is 9 o'clock now. The rest of the chapter we will find in our next session. So we stop here. Thank you very much to one and all, and Shubharatri.
Yes, thank you very much, Prasad sir. As you said, we will meet in our next session. Thank you, everyone. Shubharatri to all.